back in the video store. I know you had to take a couple of sick days, and that's just the way small business works.
Yep.
But thankfully we have some maybe trustworthy employees that help out from time to time. So we could use some more though. So if you're interested in working in a video store, let us know. We're kind of nearing also that time of the year where we'll have the video crypt up at the Texas Theater. So we may have Chad back, and we'll be talking about that. I guess we're almost September. So yeah, it's starting to well, it's Texas, so it's still hot as fuck. Like it's not it's not cooling down like you would imagine. Like fall. But we're kind of getting to that point. But I think we kind of have a good one a good movie that I think we're going to talk about that, very heat, involved. But, I guess I should probably say though, that my name is Eli and I'm, one of the co-owners of Top Shelf Video and, co-host of the Top Shelf Video podcast.
Yep, and that would make me Jaime, the other half of the podcast, and my sick days are it's funny you mentioned that. I was, I feel better. I feel better, but I had a rough couple of days here that kind of delayed our plans, but I'm feeling a lot better.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Not drugged up, but
sure.
It's funny you mentioned the heat. I actually, as of today, we've actually, for those who don't know me, I run a powder coating company when I'm not recording with my brother. So coming to find out that in Texas, this Texas 100-degree heat is it gives us issues with our powder coating process. So as of today of this recording, we've actually shifted our hours of operation to 3 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. So. So yeah, my rest of the month's going to be a little wonky for me, but giving my guys the night shift pay raise and everybody is on board and we rocking and rolling at 77-degree weather at 3 a.m. rather than the 101 and after lunch.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It worked out. It's the rest of the month looks promising because we were had a lot less issues today. So
no, that's good.
But yeah, in the heat, I definitely was thinking about dragons.
Yeah. We're talking about 1981. Man, it's crazy to think about when this movie came out, but I mean we'll talk about that as we kind of get into this movie. We're talking about 1981's Dragonslayer, which is rated PG, I should note, before we get into it. I was going to ask you though, and even though it's funny you brought that up because I was going to ask you, because I'm sure like some of the people that listen would be like, oh, when you were in the Army, and we've talked about like movies like Invasion USA or whatever, and I was like, thinking, I was like, what, like I would imagine, because I know I feel like I would know this, but there is like, when you were in the Army, there was no time that you guys were ever around any sort of flamethrower, because I don't think a flamethrower is like a viable, like that's a weapon that's not even allowed to be used anymore, I think, right? But like, I mean,
I don't know if not allowed, but I mean, in the type of units that I was in,
sure,
there was no need for flamethrowers.
Right.
I mean, not to say that there isn't somewhere. I mean,
yeah, well,
I can't tell you with 100% certainty that flamethrowers are not in the inventory of the United States Army.
Well, that's what I was going to say is like, I was pretty confident that you wouldn't have been around that, not within a tank battalion.
Oh yeah, no, not at all.
But I guess to that effect, and maybe the answer is like, the answer here is going to be Texas. But I was going to ask you, like, what is the hottest you've ever like been around with regards to like your old job of being in the military? Like, was it being around like in a hot tank, or were you guys ever around like a hot like fire situation where it's like you really feel the heat, sort of thing?
Well, I mean, if you're talking temperature wise, I mean, the easiest, I mean, the because I'll never forget looking at the thermometer when we got off the plane. But the day I landed in Afghanistan was 130.
Jeez.
And mind you, I deployed with a unit from Texas, right? So we were kind of like, feels like a Wednesday,
right?
I mean, it was weird because then some of the people that we were attached with were from other parts of the country. That when we were kind of a lot of people get mixed in there. So folks that are were from say the Northeast, they were miserable. But it still took a little adjusting. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, 130 is still 130. It's like walking around with a blow dryer in your face. Yeah. Like you can't get away from the heat, right? And it sucked. But the human body's weird because once you get acclimated to 130, it would drop to 100 degrees at night, and we were wearing parkas because it felt like 40 degrees. But it was just because of the 30-degree temperature change at night. So it was like, it was weird. It was such a weird to feel like having to pull out cold weather gear, and it was 100 degrees,
right?
Yeah, at night because we were so used to 130.
Yeah, that
was I won't forget that. I won't forget the imagery in my head of looking at that the first time we got off the plane. Then we got into the buildings, like we were getting in processed and stuff, and they had they had the thermometer outside the building where you could see what it was because they did monitor the heat,
right. Yeah,
and I'll never forget that.
And I can only imagine, like, on top of having to wear, your fatigues, the helmet, everything else that,
sure.
when you're actually in your tank. So it would be like 130 plus, right? Like, that's crazy. Like that the only thing I can even come close to relating to that is just like those summers where we would work with Dad back home. And then we'd occasionally, like, if we were helping him install like an HVAC, or something in a house, and we we had to go up into the attic to kind of help, because I guess we were small,
run wires or whatever.
Yeah, we were small and mobile, so like we'd go up in the attic to like run stuff for Dad because it was easy for us to get around than him, and
or pass the tools.
And I remember he'd always, because like it was funny. Because I always thought, like, man, Dad's a little bit of a nerd because he's got like a pocket protector thing that he would always have. But then I found out like how useful that is, and then he'd always keep his thermometer in there, and I always remember looking at that thing, and I remember that one time it was like it's like 110 or 115 or something, and I think I think Dad didn't tell us, but I'm pretty sure like if we got to a certain point of the heat, like he's like, all right, we gotta, we take a break or we get some water or whatever.
Take a break. It's almost like in hindsight it makes he was monitoring a lot more than we realized.
Right. We were just like, it's hot all the time, we're just we're being kids, right? And we want to like make some extra money.
Of course, that's the only reason we were there. We were there to make money. It wasn't about helping Dad with the exactly.
It's not like I was excited to get up into the attic 120
I wasn't a teenager. I wasn't a teenager wanting to learn the electrical.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about a career in electric, being an electrician, so I wanted money for the next video game and stuff. So
and I mention all that because I look at the cover of Dragonslayer, and like it's a classic sort of old school drawing, but as I watched this movie, I was just like, man, like there are a lot of scenes in this movie where they're like, because this is 1981, right? So this is what? What 70? When did Star Wars come out? 79. It would have been.
Damn, I wasn't ready for the pop quiz. I want to say 79.
77 actually.
70. Oh shit.
So
okay,
this movie only comes out like 4 years after Star Wars, right? And it's in terms of like what this movie pulls off, and some of the scenes that when I was watching this last night, I was like, man, that's real fire. Like there are a couple scenes that are like that is either a stuntman or a mannequin that they just set on fire, or like these guys are fucking around with real fire. And
Yeah.
I feel like I was trying to remember when the first time that we would have seen this, or because I want, if it was 81, it probably, I remember watching this, but I also don't remember watching it a lot because it either wasn't readily available, it either wasn't on cable a lot, or whenever we wanted to go rent stuff, it was probably not necessarily available. Like, I feel like, we were talking about Kroll and Beastmaster sort of being like these lost gems. And I feel like this is I feel like this is going to be the last movie we talk about in this like trifecta of like, sword and sandal, D&D, sort of D&D summer, I guess you could say, that we've sort of been talking about.
Yeah.
And I feel like I never, as much as I don't hear Beastmaster brought up all that often, or Crow brought up, I also feel like Dragonslayer is not brought up all that much either. And I don't know if it's just because, like, we had Lord of the Rings, we had all these other like big epics that in a lot of ways, are really like groundbreaking and fantastic. But I feel like these are the movies that really laid down that foundation for what those movies could be. So yeah, this movie came out 4 years before or after Star Wars. Sorry,
after Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because of the fact that what I was mentioning was that there's always this big, like, oh, practical effects over CGI, and it's always going to be better, and so on and so on. But this is like one of those cases where like this was more of a matter of fact. Like, I don't think they didn't really have much choice in the matter, because it's one thing to build starships, and I think that they had a very clear plan of what they wanted to do in Star Wars to make those special effects. But when you're talking about something like dragons and things that I don't know, I guess up to this point, like maybe only Harry what was his name, Harryhausen, in like Jason and the Argonauts, where you're doing like stop motion and stuff like that, like those things were possible, but not to the same level of, I think, granularity that this movie was looking for. And so I would actually be really fascinated to see if there are people that still like were involved in the early production of this kind of stuff, to say like, we saw Star Wars and we were like, you know what, I think we can make this fantasy movie with the help of people that really know what they're doing. Because this movie, like from a visual standpoint, is really good. I mean, like, between Kroll, Beastmaster, and Dragonslayer, it's almost like Dragonslayer is on a level that's like a very like high level of execution. Like, I was looking at some of the people that worked on this, and the director, Matthew Robbins, who I think was primarily like, or in his career was mostly like known as a writer, and he's worked with like guys like Guillermo del Toro, like in Crimson Tide,
Oh, wow.
and other like things as a writer. And so, I feel like Guillermo has this fascination with like monsters and creatures and things like this, like on a level that I feel like a guy like this and him obviously connect, right? Where I would say like Guillermo probably like sympathized more with like the dragons than he did like with the humans. And there are parts of this movie where I kind of did too, but and then I looked at the cinematographer for this movie. I don't have his name up in front of me, but the cinematographer for this was the guy who also was the cinematographer for Alien, the first Alien movie. And like the way this movie is filmed, and like the texture and everything in this movie is like really like phenomenal in a lot of ways. Like it as I was watching it, I was just like, man, that is some really like awesome like stuff that we're looking at with regards to like how it looks. And it's kind of funny because I watched I've been watching that new show Alien Earth And so in getting ready to want to watch that, I did watch Alien a while back, and like between this and Alien, like they do have that very like creepy lighting and aesthetic that's just like you don't know what's lurking around the corner. And even though like this dragon's huge in this movie, like there's still a feeling of like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe other than like the camera just has this very like textured aesthetic that really sets like a really good tone and mood for this movie. Like it's funny because when we've talked about Kroll and we talked about Beastmaster and them being like, oh, you know, I can see the D&D party kind of coming together, but this one is like, this one's like opening the D&D book and looking at the awesome illustrations that are done in an oil painting or something, because like they're very detailed, and like the setting of where this was filmed and just like the look of everything, because it's all very practical, is man, it just kind of like blew me away when starting to watch it. I mean, even the very beginning scene where like the villagers show up to the, I guess like the home of the wizard or
the wizard,
or I guess he's like a sorcerer or a wizard. I forget exactly which one. I get, because they never. I don't.
Yeah, he's the sorcerer. He's like he's like a famed.
Okay.
Like he's the guy that you know.
But do they use
I guess the
word,
last.
Yeah, do they use the word sorcerer? I don't think that the word wizard is ever used. At least not that I could remember. Because I don't think there's ever like a mention of that. But the fact that later on in the movie they talk about like sorcery and like the dark arts and stuff like that, it's like, oh, it almost makes it seem like it is more of a sorcerer than it is. Because I almost want to say at some point maybe they mentioned like a necromancer or something like.
They mentioned something. It happened kind of quick, but yeah, I've always been. I mean, and again, I guess, you know, without looking up a definition, wizards have always been like the good,
right?
You know, like Gandalf. You know, you know, the wizards are, you know, they're pure, and where sorcery is more like the dark side of. There's like I don't want to say Sith-ish, but
yeah, there's like a level of like either religion or something kind of tied into it, and there's something there. I'm sure if we research this, or I'm sure somebody who maybe knows more about that can let us know. But it's like, and especially on the end of the movie, not to get ahead, but like there is like imagery that feels more religious looking than it is like you're saying, like Gandalf felt like in Lord of the Rings, you know, where he had a very like wizard look with his big hat with the big brim. Whereas like when we're introduced to the wizard pretty early on, he doesn't have like the classic wizard hat, you know, that you would expect.
It looked like a coiled serpent kind of thing.
It was interesting, but it fit like really well, like just the overall like sort of art direction in this. And before I forget, because like looking at even the first couple minutes of this movie, I always forget like that this is a Disney movie. It's rated PG.
Yeah, I totally forgot that this was Disney.
Yeah, there is.
So that I man, it's crazy that I like the movies that I remember young, because like I liked The Black Hole and Dragonslayer. Like there was a period of time where Disney was putting out some, I don't want to say adult content, but more mature, like a little darker.
Well, it's funny. I feel like it was just more fantasy based, or more like that term wasn't like, it wasn't used in a way that was like somehow negative. Whereas I feel like nowadays, or even like there was a period there where like maybe that term would have been used differently, where like, I don't know. I feel like this movie is, I don't think it's inappropriate for children, because I mean, we watched it when we were kids, and I found like a lot of adventure and excitement in it. I think maybe nowadays there may be a different pause to that, because there are a lot of things that are brought up in this movie that I could see somebody going like, well, wait a minute, I have a question. Like, and we can kind of get into some of that here in a minute. But like, the only reason I bring up the Disney side of it is like, because yeah, you're right. Like there was the Black Hole, there was this, there was the Black Cauldron, I think was like a Disney animated movie that's like really dark. And then there was like bed knobs and broomsticks, right? With like the one where they're like there's almost like magic, but also in a, like I don't see necromancer, but they fight like Nazis, if I remember correct. Or I don't know. I don't think they're Nazis, but because I think that takes place during World War One. But they're fighting like the Germans or something during war. Like,
oh yeah, no, wait a minute. Yeah, because she animates the armor, the knights. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure those are German Nazis.
They may be Nazis. I can't remember. The only reason I think World War One is because
I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, the only reason I say World War One is because I think they had like the death spikes on the top, on the helmet. And I want to say that was like a World War One thing, but
yeah, possibly.
Yeah, but I mean, all that to say, like you're right. Like there was a period where Disney was doing like, it's almost like, and I definitely felt this by the end of the movie. They were just doing stuff that they thought was like what you would call adventure or fantasy adventure at a young age. Like, it wasn't defined as like family friendly, blah blah blah. It was like, sure, it may stray a little bit into certain subject matters, but like, I don't know. I guess I just didn't see it that bad. I'm sure there's always been a very conservative type of mindset of like, no, because they're not like, it's what do you call it? It's bad because like they're not talking about religion and they're using magic and the arts or whatever. And so like, that's that's not allowed. Or, or other things that are kind of brought up, like the word virgin, or things like, I mean, hell, there's even like, there's boobies in this movie, which I totally forgot about. And like the dude,
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. There's
in the water scene.
Yeah. In the water scene, there's like boobies, but there's also like dude junk, or at least pretty close to it, because like, I was like, oh man, like I forgot about this scene. But I mean, the reason why I brought all that up is like, man, I feel like there was a period here in Disney where everything from a craft standpoint was really taken into consideration. And like, I love the first like 10 minutes of this movie where you get introduced to like the villagers, the I guess the apprentice, Galen, and then like the sorcerer, like Ulrich. And all these guys like had a very, like, they had a very distinct look, and they gave them the sorcerer, the way his hair looks, it looks like an animated cartoon, like from Disney. Like he's kind of got like the balding, the bald spot, but then his hair like is very like, I mean, nobody has their hair like that, but it looks very like cool and fits this fantasy story. And then like the
image, it fits the image.
Yeah, Hodge, the old man that looks like Blue from Old School. He also like like the big nose, and he's got like a very distinct voice, and like the way he looks and talks, and it really did like for a minute there take me back and make me feel a lot of like an animated like an animated Disney movie where they really drew out these characters with like very sharp very sharp features on their face, whether it be eyebrows or a big nose or the beard in a very shaped way, or even like Galen, like his hair is like super curly and just like it's in a very particular way that almost like you almost don't see that level of like detail in movies nowadays. Like, I mean, hell, even in Lord of the Rings, like it's almost like it's very like realistic, whereas this feels super unrealistic because like nobody dresses like that, nobody has hair like that, nobody talks like that, but it all like works like super well. And in the first 15 minutes when these villagers come to meet the sorcerer because they want to try to find somebody to help them deal with this dragon, and they're bringing like a dragon scale, that whole sequence, where he's kind of like this bumbly old man, and the villagers are very like poignant, you know, with their reasoning. And like,
we're not leaving till he sees us.
Yeah, exactly. And like, and Galen, you know, as an apprentice is very just like naive, you know, like it really was like, I was like, man, I don't remember this beginning because it's been a while since I've seen this, but like the name and everything just speaks for itself. There's not like a lot of heavy, like deep story in this. It's like, oh, it's called Dragonslayer. These people show up, they have a dragon and it's a problem. We meet the wizard, we meet the apprentice, let's go. Like, it just, it's all encapsulated so well that it's like, man, they really, well, here it is. They don't make movies like this anymore. Like, I feel like we as Gen Xers were super lucky that people that were making these sorts of fantasy movies really were on top of their game at this time period, you know? Like, I don't know if you had any thoughts in the first just couple minutes of this movie, you know, but like,
it's interesting because like you brought up the attention to detail, and it was almost like it was almost like this was obviously there wasn't an animated version of this prior, but it's almost like they tried to like it's almost like they attempted to make like a live action version of, you know how you're saying it looked very, it was almost like animated characters come to life. Kind of, you know, like you said, the hair was a little extra curly. The old man he sounded like a voice that would be like of an animated character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the fact that you were saying it, the way they were, it seemed very deliberate on the detail. It was almost like they were trying to recreate an animated version of this that didn't exist.
Well, and it would not
prior.
It would not surprise me if Disney went to their animators and said, "Draw me up some characters. Like, let's storyboard this."
Oh, like thing. Their storyboard,
because
and then they made that, they found the actors, or they fixed them up to look like their storyboards.
Yeah, well,
I can totally see that.
Well, because like not long after beginning, right? We get introduced to kind of one of the villains, even though like, I don't know. I guess the main villain here is obviously the dragon, but then we meet, I guess, one of sort of the
Tyrion.
Tyrion, I guess he's like
he's the captain of the royal guard.
Yeah, and
it's like it's like the, you know, the, I don't want to say governmental. This isn't a government rant, but it's like he's like the unnecessary asshole.
Yeah,
of the authoritative.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's just like he's just being a prick for no fucking reason.
He's the guy. Yeah, he's the guy in The Rock or in Armageddon who like seems to act like he knows better than the experts, you know. And then the experts are like, "Have you ever dealt with whatever?" And he's like, "Well, no, but you know, I have failed upward enough that I've made myself into this position." It's
I'm
funny.
the captain of the royal guard.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because like I kind of felt that by the end of this movie, and I think it'll tie into the end. But yeah, before we kind of just jump into the movie, like I just kind of wanted to bring up that point because like even seeing him like Tyrion, like without knowing he's the villain. Like he has that look
because he looks it. He looks like
he's got the helmet. He's got the hair. They dress him in a way that like, if the audio is turned off, you're like, oh, that's the bad guy and that's good guy. And that's, you know, it's there is a fine, like it is a fine skill to be able to pull that off. And I think like, even if people study this, they'd be like, oh, okay, well, I'll buy that outfit and I'll give the guy a mustache. I'm like, no. It's really the details of like how this guy is acting, emoting, like, he's constantly frowning, and I'm sure they told him like, no, let's do it again because like we really need you to be frowning. Whereas like the apprentice always has this like innocent look on his face of like curiosity. So like his eyebrows are kind of always like kind of up, you know, like he's always listening, he's always thinking. And then like the Ulrich, the wizard or the sorcerer, is always kind of got this look of like knowledge, right? Where he's kind of got like that one eyebrow that's kind of up, like he's listening, but he's also like speaking, you know, from his place of knowledge. But like, I don't know, man, like I said, just in the first 10 minutes, I was just like, oh man, I am so ready to watch this because I haven't seen a movie like this in a while. And you can't just extrapolate what is being done here and then try to slap it into a movie, because there's a lot of care that's put into the editing, the framing, the look of the actors, how they're emoting, all that stuff. Like I feel like this movie, is really one of those, if you haven't seen it, you definitely need to like watch a movie like this and I don't know, just to kind of make sure that where Lord of the Rings and movies like this, where they came from, because these movies wouldn't exist without like something like Dragonslayer. But so yeah, I guess like the movie, I mean, it's pretty straightforward in the sense of like, we were introduced to all these characters early on, and this village is just being ravaged by a dragon, and they want to find help, and pretty early on.
I think the villagers, they reference the that the king is sacrificing a virgin twice a year, and I think they're trying to put an end to that.
Yeah.
So they're trying to address the dragon in general.
Yeah, and it's funny you say the military or the government thing, because whether you want to accept it for a movie like this, but like it parallels a lot of those things, right? Where it's like, oh, like the poor people and the people that are just like the commoners, and like the people that like aren't rich and are part of the king's, like inner circle, whatever, like whatever, right? So like, yeah, like the stakes are really high for a movie that's like rated PG and made by Disney, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, they're killing people to keep the dragon like at bay, because we have to sacrifice virgins, and you guys can spare them, but we can't, sort of thing. So the stakes are definitely like high from the beginning, and I find that like really interesting, because there's not a whole lot of exposition. It's just like, well, that's what we do, and that's what needs to be done. And I guess like Tyrion doesn't really buy into this whole like, the fact that this could be taken down by magic or whatever. He's like, no, we just, what's wrong? Like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like, as long as we keep like sacrificing people, then it'll be fine. And that kind of leads to like an early scene that I actually, I only bring it up because like as a kid, I remember seeing this and being very confused, because I'm like, okay, right. So we're being introduced to all these characters. We're introduced to the wizard or the sorcerer, and then the sorcerer Ulrich and Tyrion are kind of confronting each other pretty early on, because like, it's magic over, it's like, what would you say, brawn over brain. And like, if we're led to believe that the sorcerer is the brain and like Tyrion is brawn, and he's kind of saying like, oh, I have like, these magic abilities. And he's like, well, I'm trying to remember how this whole thing goes down, but he gives him like a dagger, and he tells him,
I don't remember. Yeah, like he challenges him. Like I guess Tyrion is just kind of calling bullshit on the magic thing.
Yeah, like he's saying,
and he's like, nah. And the wizard's just like, he has a Galen. He's like, go get my dagger. Like he wants a specific dagger out of his chest. And and it's funny because when we were watching this, I was starting to wonder initially, because I mean later on it's revealed there was purpose behind everything. But like when the boy, when he took the amulet, I thought he was supposed to put the amulet in the box and grab the dagger, like it was going to protect him somehow. Right. So because they make it a point to show where he kind of leaves the amulet just kind of on the counter, or on a table, and then he grabs the dagger. So I was like, did he fuck something up? Like was that not supposed to happen?
Right.
And it, he was supposed to, like, maybe it was some magic trick that he was going to do.
Yeah.
And because he didn't put the amulet in a certain place, like he screwed it up. So when he got killed, I was like, was that supposed to happen? I don't know.
Yeah. And like, I mean, and for whatever reason, that was very like, it's very visceral. I remember as a kid, like where he kind of opens up his shirt, Ulrich does, and he tells him like right here.
Yeah, like
right in the
just do it.
He's like, go ahead, do it. And then he does it, and he kills him. And I remember as a kid being like, wait, what? Like that's not supposed to happen because.
Yeah, there's still a lot of movie left.
Yeah, and also
what?
like the way they set him up in the very beginning of the movie, like I guess there's this just thought process that like he's going to be like the power or the parent or whatever you want to call it. He's like the guy at the top of the totem pole. At least that's the impression. Yeah. And so like,
yeah, he's supposed to be like the last powerful sorcerer
right.
of, I guess, of all the heroes of this realm or the world. Like he's like, that's why they traveled so far to get to this guy, because he's like the last main player or power that they were like, okay, well, we need to go see this guy, because if anybody's going to kill a dragon, it's this guy.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a little caught off guard when he's like taken out in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. And so like little do we know this ends up being like a hero's quest. Like I thought it was going to be, you know, the sorcerer and his apprentice, which it kind of, there was it, the Sorcerer's Apprentice? I want to say there was a Disney movie way back in the day.
Well, that was an animated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that had to have been after this, I would imagine. But like, I don't know, for whatever reason, like I said, I was just kind of thrown off because I was like, okay, so now we're just going to follow this bumbling, naive, you know, sort of, you know, character. But like you were saying, you know, it turns out that was a purpose for everything. So like, as the movie sort of progresses, like we realize that like, I guess, you know, Galen's been his apprentice for some time. So like he has some ability, but we only now from this point forward in the movie are going to start to understand like how much has Galen learned over these times or whatever. And again, it's like a really interesting like way of storytelling, because I feel like nowadays movies like this would be filled with exposition of like, oh, we have to get to know this character, and like we have to know that they were teachings, and like if we don't like fully explain this to the audience, they're just not going to get it. And right. I like that that's not the case here, and they really respected us as viewers of just like, oh, all the context clues are here that we need, and that, you know, he's not a bumbling idiot, he's just naive, he's a young kid. But it doesn't mean that a young kid can't have talent, right? And then we start seeing that this amulet that was attached to a lot of this seems to have some sort of power, that he's starting to realize like, oh, if I have this amulet, like it's almost like I guess the only thing I can think of is it's kind of like the Schwartz ring, you know, like.
Oh my God. I was just thinking, I was like, yeah, it's like he's associating the amulet with the power
of like the force
or something,
or magic or whatever.
Wow. Shit, dude. That's
yeah. The only thing I could think of was like the Schwartz ring, right? It's like, you know, but yeah, it's funny because again, it's masterful storytelling, because I think as viewers, we all believe that, you know, you're watching this kind of like, oh yeah, well, as long as he has the amulet, you know, he's all cool and he's got the ability. He starts showing,
he can channel that power.
Yeah. He starts showing Hodge that like, oh, like, look, I can do some of these things, you know, like I have.
Yeah. I'm the sorcerer now. He gets a little cocky for a little bit there,
which is, I kind of,
he's like, oh, you know, Ulrich is gone. I'm the sorcerer now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. He says,
I'm
like,
no longer an apprentice.
Yeah. And it's funny because I assume that Hodge is kind of like their servant or something. Cause he talks about how he specifically says like, I'm the master now. And I guess this guy just does his bidding or whatever. So like,
he's just the servant of the grounds or whatever. You know, I guess he's been there forever.
Yeah.
So they have a relationship that's, again, it's just kind of understood because he's the old man, he's the apprentice. They both served under the sorcerer, who was the master of the keep or whatever. Yeah. So they trust that we understand that, okay, they have a relationship there. We didn't need the backstory of all that. Yeah. You know, there was already a built-in relationship because they were together. They were there. Yeah. They were all living together in the same place.
And it's really good acting, and it's really good like character building just from the context clues there, because it all just kind of lies right there in front of you. And like the movie just kind of moves at a pace where you just kind of, I don't want to say you have to accept it, but accepting it actually like works really well because of how all that kind of comes into play. And just to kind of touch on one point that I remember, which is like after Ulrich dies, and which is why I think, I don't know, I have this feeling that he's like more of a sorcerer or whatever, but like when he dies, they burn his body, but they dress him up. They dress him up in like what appears to be like kind of a pagan looking sort of outfit. Like he has a hat that looks very much like I don't know, I guess you would only see like in a pagan ritual sort of thing, you know, like it almost looks like those Orthodox Jew sort of big hat kind of things. I don't know. It's hard to describe. Right. I don't know what the name of I don't know what the name of that outfit kind of is, but it has a lot of like symbolism and stuff on it. And then when he burns, like he burns like a green color, like the fire's green, which
I did notice that,
which I thought was really cool. And I think this kind of goes to, again, the effects work done in this was like really well done, because like a lot of the stuff we see early on when he's doing magic, or like, you know, the fire where it's kind of green or whatever, like these are all like practical effects that are done really well. Like they're clever tricks that you can do if you know how to like manipulate like film and stuff like that, you know, like being able to have like a really clean green, fire, which you can do if you're splitting the red, green, and blue channels of the film, because that's how they did it in Star Wars. And so I feel like somebody was like, oh yeah, we can manipulate that where we can make that green and nothing else green. Not because we have computers to do that, but there is a way you can do it with the film. And so when those scenes happen, it's like, it feels really like cool, because nowadays, like your eye could pick up on like, oh, that fire is not real, you know, but that's a real fire. They probably didn't burn it green, but they probably figured a way to actually be able to manipulate that in the film. And then like when he's starting to do magic and he rips all the clothes off of like Hodge and stuff like that, like that's just classic, you know, like the film is just going in reverse, right? Like
in reverse,
and stuff like that, you know, but it's cool because it just kind of flows into the movie. And so like all these tricks and stuff are really cool optical effects. But yeah, like but when we get up to about the 30-minute point of this movie is the first time that, you know, we get to really see, I think, the magic of this movie. But like, so from a story standpoint, like Galen and Hodge go to catch up with the villagers to kind of say like, hey, you know, my master's gone, but I can do the job. Like I can totally do it.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to honor what he said he would do.
Right. And, and it's funny because like, there's not a whole lot of like, he's not doing it because he thinks he's cocky, even though there's a little bit of that. And he's not doing it because he's in love with it, with a particular person or whatever. It's like he's doing it because he feels like that is his duty as the apprentice. And I kind of like that and appreciate that. Like there are deeper layers as the movie kind of moves on, that maybe there are other intentions that are there, but the initial intention is really just like, this is my duty, you know, to do.
Right.
And so he joins up with them. And then that's, I think shortly thereafter, we get the first real taste of like, the first person that the dragon kills as a sacrifice, but the villagers give up like one of their young girls to the dragon to be sacrificed, and there's like a whole like sequence where like the village or I guess like the I don't know, the government guard or whatever, they kind of like show up and shackle her to a post for the dragon to have. But man, like seeing the dragon, like, I mean, because they obviously that's a built like effects, and there's something to be said about like not seeing too much and being like blown away by the little you do get to see. But the first time we get to see the dragon of just like seeing the claw, like seeing part of the arm, seeing part of the tail, but not seeing all of it, and it's all real. Like, man, that I do remember as a kid seeing the sequence and like legitimately being scared of just like, oh man, like that's a real.
How big is this thing?
Yeah, that's a real arm. That's a real like, those are real scales. This is real everything. And I don't know, for some reason I always remember the girl being tied up to the post and like her wrist bleeding from trying to get them off of the shackles.
You know, me too. I had that moment when she's like trying to escape, and I don't know if it's just because the bleeding wrist kind of it helps adds to the visualization of like desperation.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's so weird that you say that, because I remember watching it and I was like, man, I vividly remember the girl trying to get away and like was like, ripping her skin to try to unshackle herself. And I remembered that scene, and it was weird.
Yeah, that very particular scene. Yeah.
Yeah, that particular scene. And I don't know why that stuck with me all these years, but when I watched it again, I was like, man, that's like, I don't know, maybe it was just really good acting on her part. I mean, she had a small role, but
yeah,
I mean, she nailed the whole, I need to get the fuck away from this dragon.
Right.
Well,
and it seems very like relatable. Not that we were ever in shackles, but I feel like having like rope burns or, just stuff that, when you're doing stuff as a kid or whatever, like cutting yourself up, on trees and stuff like that. Like
right.
knowing something as simple as like blood on the wrist or whatever, like having to do that much force to get something out and being that desperate to try to get away from something. Yeah. It just seemed very visceral, and very like, there was something
very
about
real.
It. Yeah. Very, very real. And then on top of all that, it's like like I said, the stakes feel very high because you think she's going to get away and she almost gets away, and then she gets cornered, and then we just basically see her get like lit up by the
barbecued.
Dragon. I mean, she is beyond crispy, like by the end of that. And like, I don't know, there's just something about like the way the rocks looked, the way that whole area looked, it looked like, I don't know. There was something very like lasting about like that shot or all those shots that really like was like you never forget it because of like, I don't know, maybe it's just because you don't really see those kinds of places, or kind of, sort of, like a lair, right? Like a dragon's lair, almost literally. But if you had to draw it, that's almost exactly how you would draw it. And they built it to the T, right? And again, it made me think that like they must have brought in those old school like Disney guys, and they were like, draw us what a layer would look like, and somebody would draw this badass like D&D style dragon's lair, and then they just built it, like or something, unless they found it, and that would be amazing if they did. But yeah, so like that's our first look at the dragon. I also like the fact I don't think the dragon had a name. They don't really, I feel like there were a lot of other movies that would come on later that they would name the dragon.
Well, I mean, the dragon has a name, but I don't know if they mentioned it. Because when I was reading up on it, I just don't remember if the villagers referenced it, but it is probably the coolest dragon name I've ever.
Oh.
Vermithrax pejorative.
Oh, okay.
And there's a backstory. There's like, it's a 400-year-old dragon.
Oh. And
apparently George R.R. Martin referenced this dragon in Game of Thrones at some point.
Oh, no shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, that actually kind of vibes with like this whole like sort of thing, because the movie, like I said, for a PG movie, like it is high stakes. Like, when the dragon intends to kill, it kills. Like there's no, like, oh, like things will be okay. It's like, no, this is the maximum amount of like worst stuff that could happen to the villagers sort of scenario. And so we get to see that. And I feel like it's cool they get to see that in the first 30 minutes because you get to really realize like what we're going to have to deal with. And then as the movie sort of progresses forward, it's funny because the next the next scene that comes like shortly thereafter, which again, it's like, oh, is this PG movie, is like where Galen is with like the villagers, and like the next day after he catches up to them, and I guess they're getting ready to gather all their things, and they're gonna have breakfast or bathe or whatever, and then they're gonna take off. He notices that one of the boy, I guess, that was leading the villagers is like taking a bath, and so like he decides, and he sees him in like a small, like I guess like a pool of water, that's like not too far from where their camp is, and he just decides like, I'm just gonna go ahead and like go streaking. Speaking of old school, like I'm gonna go streaking. Goes all the way down to like his, literally like butt naked, and jumps in the water. And it's funny because like, it's like, oh wow, you see his butt in the movie and it's PG, but then when he's like swimming towards the camera, like you kind of get full frontal of the guy, even though it's cloudy. In the 4K version, not so cloudy. Like I was like, oh shit, like that's blurred. No, man, that is his little dragon, like, is coming right at the camera. But then like, it's funny because like, and I guess it's kind of the reveal or like one of the twists of the movie is like, turns out that the boy who was in the village is not a boy and is a girl. And, it's kind of given that tomboy sort of look, but you see that because when he gets in the water, he's swimming and he sees that she has boobs and has like a pretty nice body for what's supposed to be like a boy, even though like she's clearly like probably like a young woman, like in her 20s. But like he sees that and he's like, oh, like I didn't realize, even though like he hints later of like, actually we all kind of knew you were a girl. But it's really cool. I mean, it's like, it's cool from the standpoint of like all the reasoning that is in this movie is very purposeful. And then like you come to realize why, they're trying to like hide her as a
her dad has had her dressed as a boy to avoid the whole virgin sacrifice lottery bullshit that the king has been implemented. And I think that's really cool, just from the standpoint of like, you don't really think about those things until you see the fact that this young woman, just a scene earlier, is like toasted, completely toasted. And so like the stakes are so high that you realize like, I would even go as far as like dressing my daughter up like as a boy, because I can't be without my daughter, right? And I think she's the only like child of that family. And so I feel like possibly, I believe so.
Yeah. So I feel like, the stakes are even higher in that standpoint, right? Of like, we can only have one kid, and the kid we had was a girl. And I think the only way you could get out of the lottery, I think that they said, was like, if you were married or if you were not a virgin. So they kind of get to
probably
pretty early.
I mean, I just remember it being like, if you were a virgin, then you were put in the lottery. I guess I don't know why they think a dragon has a preference.
Right.
If it's, like...
Well, I think it's like part of that...
organic.
It's part of that whole like supernatural, or like I guess there's like a level of like magic and religion tied in together, right? Because that's kind of like a very pagan sort of thing, right? It's like, oh, well, only like virgin blood,
like a wholesome,
is
that makes sense.
Feeds the dragon somehow more than like untainted blood or whatever. And so it's kind of funny because like there's a lot of like ups and downs in this movie pretty early on, because he realizes that, and then you kind of understand that like that why she's like leading up this group. And then so then they actually make their way to the dragon's lair, and Gaelic in his like I guess, kind of being naive when he kind of like is able to get to the layer is like, oh, well, if that's where the layer is and there's only like one way in and out, like, why don't we just plug it up, sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the part where I kind of was saying, I think he's a bit cocky because he because they're on their way back to the village to formulate the plan. And, it wasn't just like do your own thing, but since he's like, well, I want to go see this lair. We're close by it. And then he kind of takes it upon himself without really kind of discussing anything.
Yep.
He's just kind of like, oh, I got this. And he just kind of, does his sorcery spells and chants and all that.
Yeah.
And causes this rock slide. But, it seemed a bit, when I was watching it, I was like, man, that seems like a bit irresponsible. Like, because you don't know if that plan's going to work.
Right. Yeah.
Because you're not necessarily, because they wanted someone to kill the dragon. This isn't killing the dragon per se. You're just, kind of
it's a temporary
entombing. Yeah. Burying the dragon. But, and just kind of doing it without having all the information, I guess,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought it was at the time I thought I was like, that's a bit, a little cockiness, a little bit, arrogance, maybe just kind of thinking I got this, even though he's an apprentice, I mean, he has the title master now out of default because, Ulrich died.
Right. Yeah.
It's, he's still very much an apprentice level, individual. So
yeah.
I thought it was kind of like, I was like, that probably wasn't the best idea.
Yeah. And
but
it's funny.
Yeah, he did it anyway.
Yeah. No, it's funny. And I'm glad you kind of brought that up because like it sort of brings in, I don't know how to word it without like actually using the word, but it brings in the politics of like a societal like architecture, right? Of like, these are people that are desperate and the king is clearly not doing anything, even though like he acts like he does. And basically just, he is as dumb as they are, if not even dumber than like the villagers. And is very like quick to be like, well, as long as I'm protected by what I need and I can like manipulate, the villagers, then it's not a problem. Right. And then this guy comes in and says like, hey, I can offer my services. And so they're like, like, sure, no, this is great. And so the fact that he's able to at least pull off this rock slide for the moment, everybody is like, hooray, like all our problems are solved. Right. Without really thinking, like you're saying, they didn't really think through everything. And so much so that like, I don't know how you say her name, Valerian, or Val, Valerian. She decides like, well, I don't have to dress up as a boy anymore. Like I can just be myself.
Oh, that's right.
And like, and
during the celebration, because they thought the dragon was,
and again, like that is a very again, not to try to pull in too much of current day affairs, right? But it's like, it's just like somebody saying like, oh, I came in and, we did the thing and everything's better after like a week. I've made everything better with like no proof, no evidence, right? Like these guys didn't go and see if this thing's actually dead or,
exactly. They're like, we're done here.
Yeah. There's no way that you would have thought, I mean, I think any rational person would be like, if this dragon can like do what it does, I don't think a bunch of rocks are going to like do much. And so the fact that everybody is like, hooray, like, let's have a celebration. Let's party, and then like, she's like, great. I can finally, I don't have to hide anymore. And,
right.
Like is very, very naive of these people. And like shortly thereafter, it doesn't take long to realize like, oh yeah, that didn't do it. Like, we still have a problem. And we got a huge problem.
Yeah. The we get to see, the asshole Captain Tyrion comes up and he's like, hey, the king wants to see you.
Right. Yeah.
and then that's when they have the whole, he's like, the whole scene once he's got Galen in I guess at the castle and he's like, do you know my brother? So King so-and-so before me. And he's like, yeah, he thought he could do this too, and that didn't work out. And all he did was piss off the dragon. And So, basically just, hey, this is, he should have left it alone.
Right.
The whole virgin sacrifice was working.
It totally works.
And so he,
Yep.
yeah, it wasn't broke. Why'd you try to fix it, basically?
Yep.
And he throws his ass in jail and takes his amulet. I'm like, okay,
Yep.
great.
Well, but also, I can't remember if it's in the sequence or not, where he talks about how, like, no, we'll continue with the sacrifice. But then, like, I think there's also mention of the fact that, like, well, not everybody's involved in like, this isn't a true lottery. Like, the lottery is basically fixed for only the poor people, basically. Yeah. Like, not for my daughter or anybody that, I guess, pays enough money to be at, like, they basically bribe him to get out of the lottery.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's just like, man, this guy sucks. Like, sort of thing. And you get it.
Yeah. I don't know why he would tell him that. That was very Bond villainish of him. Kind of like telling him giving him information.
Yeah.
For no fucking reason.
Yeah.
But I guess it does help move the plot along, because then that's how the king's daughter finds out. I'm not sure why she wanted to go talk to Galen in the dungeon.
Well, I want to say that
I don't remember what led up to that.
They're trying to figure out, like, how the amulet works or what they can get from it, because they realize, like, the amulet does have power, and if they can figure it out. But I guess, like, their house sorcerer or their house, guy who works for the king is trying to figure out whatever or however the amulet works, and I think that's when, like, they sort of spill the beans of, like, of how the lottery actually operates. Of, like, well, if people pay enough, they can get out of the lottery, and you're not in the lottery because I'm the king. I can do what I want.
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, it's like, it's funny because it does feel very like Disney fantasy, sort of thing, where, like, he's real skinny and scrawny, the king is, and he's just like a douchebag, because he's arrogant about a lot of what's happening, and he's like, well, as long as the idiots stay idiots and stay poor, then I will continue to just be king, and no one will sort of question it,
Right.
And so, like, I really like that, because you dislike the king that much more, and it makes you kind of root for Galen, who kind of goes from, like you said, sort of being cocky to kind of like, well, he's actually, like, the only chance that anybody's got, because he's trying to do it for the right reasons and not, not to retain power, right? Like, he realizes the amulet has power, but he's really more like, I will use this for the purpose of the dragon and not just, like, to be the king or whatever, right? So,
right.
So he eventually escapes, I think, from there, and makes his way.
Well, the earthquake
is
right. What gets to the dragon escaping out of the rock slide.
Right.
He basically creates an earthquake, and that's the only reason he's able to get out of the prison, because the wall tips over or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's how he's able to get out.
Yeah. Which now you have a pissed off dragon. And this is where like I have to look here 1 second, because, like, this movie was nominated for an Oscar for visual effects. I do not understand how this movie could not have won. Like, what the hell was better than the fact that
you want to know?
Oh yeah, no. What is it?
They lost to Raiders of the Lost Ark, another ILM production.
Okay,
they were competing against themselves.
Okay, that's fair. So ILM won an Academy Award, just not for this movie. Yeah, that's interesting, because, like, so just from the little bit that I know, not to get too techie and nerd, sort of thing, but, like, so when ILM did Star Wars, that is a lot easier to do because space is black. I mean, that's what it kind of boils down to, right? Because basically and I'm sure at this point, a lot of people have seen how, like, they kind of did this with blue screen and green screens and stuff like that. And John Knoll, who worked at ILM, he's not only the father of Photoshop, like, he actually helped invent Photoshop between him and his brother, because the idea of, like, we need to take this model and then we just need to cut everything out around the model and then superimpose that back onto the film is what they needed to do in Star Wars, right? And so they did that by basically, because like I was mentioning earlier, when you're filming something with actual film, you can process it because you're overlaying the camera will photograph all at the same time though, but you can separate it, which is it is filming in a color blue, in a color green, and a color red. And when you lay all those on top of each other, you get the full spectrum of color, right? But if you take like the green film just by itself and you sort of manipulate it, you can get what is like a black and white mask that you use to cut out the imagery, right? And like I said, the outline, usually you can kind of see it and it'll look black. But if you're in space, that doesn't matter, right? Like, because you're on a black background, right? The fact that this dragon is we're seeing it in a way that it's in the real world behind a blue, like night sky or some of this other stuff. And you don't see this.
Oh, when it's attacking the village.
Yeah. And you don't see all this like sort of halo around it. Like blows my mind for 1981 because like, that should not look as good as it does for 1981 is kind of what I'm getting at. So when the dragon's like super pissed and comes down and starts like burning up the entire place because he's like hella pissed and he's flying, I would imagine they use the exact same technique that they did in Star Wars, which is they film like they probably had like a scaled
puppet or something.
Yeah. Or with an armature that they could like actually animate, because there are sequences you can kind of tell, you can see the stop motion, but they probably just did stop motion in a way that they could just overlay on the film, but it looks so good that it just kind of blew my mind when I was like watching this last night. I was just like, man, I actually watched that sequence like about 3 or 4 times because I had to look to go like, did they fix this up like in the 4K version, like with digital effects or something? Because it just looks so good. ILM like were really like true magicians back in this time period. I think to even figure out like how they were going to pull this off, to be like, yeah, we can do that. We're going to need some time to experiment, but we can do that. And on top of the fact that like it's shooting fire that has to be timed up with like actual explosions that you see on the screen, right? Because none of that is happening in the real space. So that means like they're not only are they animating this dragon that's flying in, but they had to time it to draw fire coming out of its mouth to hit a very particular spot on the real film, that when it would hit, that you would see the flames kind of go up. The
flame, yeah.
I mean, God, it's just
it's really impressive.
It's magic, really.
I could hear you talk about that kind of shit all day, but it makes me appreciate even more what we're watching.
Yeah,
because nowadays it's unfair, right? Nowadays we got to see everything's computer, so to hear that talk about that like what they had to do back in 81 to make it look that good, really makes you appreciate the magic of Industrial Light and Magic.
Yeah.
I mean,
they really,
they were so ahead of their time, dude. It fucking, they made, if it wasn't for them, a lot of stuff that we have now, it wouldn't exist.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. But it also like, man, if there was ever a time where I could go back in my time machine, right? Like I would just want to go and hang out with these guys as they brainstorm how they're going to go about doing this, because like nowadays, like you were saying, like, I don't want to say like nothing is impossible, but like really you just have to come up with a plan and how you want to do it. And then usually like you can just write the tools for what you need, or you can program you can program the stuff that you need a lot nowadays. And a lot of that can just be done, but to have to think through the practical side of all that to say like, okay, well, I guess we could do this. We can do this. Like we can play to our strengths of what we know, but then we're going to combine it all together. I would say, I don't know if you have Disney Plus or if you haven't seen this, but there is a series on, I want to say on Disney Plus that is about Industrial Light and Magic, and you really should watch it because it talks a lot about this. Like the very, like I don't think they talk about Dragonslayer. Maybe they do, but I only remember it because they talk about Poltergeist. And there's something, again, when you talk about like, oh, how did they do that back then? You know, and I think Poltergeist was like maybe 84 or something. But when you watch how they do certain things, and in particular, they talk about, I know we're not talking about Poltergeist here, but just for reference of like Industrial Light and Magic, I don't know if you remember at the end of Poltergeist when like they leave the house and they finally like the Poltergeist like kind of wins and they just run away from the house and the house like sort of
the house
collapses
it kind of like a black hole.
And it gets kind of like sucked into a black hole. They talk about specifically how they did that. And when you see how they did it, it's not, you don't have to be like the smartest person in the world. You just have to think critically. And when I watched how they did that and they talked through the process, and I'm like, that absolutely makes sense. Like, I mean, they're not to say like, oh, I would have thought of that, but like if you think through a hard problem and you're a critical thinker, you'll think about things that you can use to your advantage, like gravity, like real gravity, real this, real that. And it's like, oh shit, yeah, that would make sense because nobody needs to see how, like, they just need to see the end result. They don't necessarily need to see how you get to the end result.
How the sausage was made.
Yeah, exactly. And when,
just the sausage on the plate.
Exactly. When you're only thinking about the sausage and when you see the final product like you do here in Dragonslayer, man, it is just like, those must have been the coolest dudes, or they had some of the strongest weed that had them thinking like at a level that was just like, oh man, I got an idea. This is going to blow your mind, but let me run this by you, sort of thing. But
I may go with that one given the decade.
I might too, because like
I'm gonna look that up. I'll watch that documentary.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can tell
that
you
kind
right
of stuff
now,
interests me.
I can tell you right now, if you start it, you're gonna want to binge it because it goes into a lot of the meat and potatoes of this kind of stuff. But it's great. I thought it was like a great series. But to get back to Dragonslayer, I mean, we kind of like, you know, we get back to the sacrificing of virgins, and they're about to, the king has decided that we're going to sacrifice again, and he brings out all the villagers and says like, oh, we're going to do the lottery. And then it turns out that they end up drawing his daughter, the king's daughter, which we all think it's going to be like Valerian. And it's almost like we're like, it's a given at this point that it's going to be her. Yeah,
the writing's on the wall, right? Of course, it would have to be.
It's very
Valerian.
movie-esque, right? Like it's going to be. Yeah. But then it turns out it's not. Like it turns out it's the king's daughter. And you feel bad.
Now she rigged the lottery.
Rigged it so that she's
because
the only
she found out it's been rigged.
Yeah. But again, like there's something really cool about this movie because like she gives a speech about how like it's not fair. Like, and all up to this point it has never been fair, and I will make a sacrifice for all the sacrifices that you have made. And you're kind of like, man, this is like, and the king's all like, oh no, like
there's been a mistake.
He read the name wrong, and we're gonna destroy the name because there's no need to see it. And
we'll get back to you.
Like a shitty politician, he does all the things that you just kind of hate about politicians, and like it really resonated because you're like, yeah, man, screw this guy. Like, even though the daughter is like saying all the right things, but you feel bad for her. Because like it's just going to be that we're just going to keep doing the same thing. We're just going to keep sacrificing people until, I don't know, I guess we run out of women that are all virgins, and then I guess we'll see.
Yeah,
but
she was apparently the one good person out of the royal family because everybody else seemed corrupted or on the take or whatever. Well, typical.
Yeah, typical
political shit.
Hierarchical. It's hard to word to say. Like sort of system where it's like as long as we're up on the top, we can keep everybody, oppressed down. Galen kind of shows up and he's like, "Look, if I can just get the amulet, I can deal with this." And then also the other thing that's really cool about this is like Valerian's father is like a blacksmith.
A blacksmith. Yeah.
And man, I forgot about this cool weapon. But he's like, yeah, I can build you like, I mean, is it like it is Valerian steel? Was that mentioned?
I wonder if, well,
because I don't know if that's where that comes from.
I'm sure maybe that I'm sure that's just a coincidence that they used her name as Valerian, but I mean, Valerian steel is a thing, but I think it's just a coincidence because I don't think he says Valerian steel at any point, you know, but he's a very good blacksmith, and he's had, you know, he had the spear that he had already made, I guess, in the hopes of one day, you know,
that'd be somebody
killing the dragon,
somebody who could do what needed to be done. And again, just the little fine details to go back to Industrial Light and Magic, man, the scene where he's like saying, well, we need to heat up like the steel so that it's like ultra hot so I can like, I can do the work. Like, that is like classic, like rotoscoping, right? Where like there are artists literally drawing on top of the film to give it that radiant look. But then like the lens flare and like the sparks, like all that's hand drawn. Yeah. And like it has like a certain effect to it.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, you can. Yeah. I can definitely tell that is not like in camera. That is actually like drawn because it happens really fast, and it has a very particular look about it. But it is really well done. And there's a couple other shots too where like the light will be in a particular way, and then you'll see like a lens flare, right? Which is when the light hits the camera in a certain way, and you sort of see these like bubbles of what appear to be like orbs. But that's just like light reflecting, off the lens. Some of those are hand drawn as well too. I can tell, but they happen in a very particular way, and in those particular scenes, the camera doesn't move very much, so that allows like the artist to really go in and detail those things out. Because if the camera is moving, then you have to draw it. You have to draw it, which sucks. But when you see these scenes, like you can tell that those are like done by animators. And again, they had some of the best animators in the world at the time, right? And they probably were like, hey, we need you to draw these things on top of this. So, and then the other cool thing that kind of comes out of this is like, you know, he gets the blade. But then Valerian goes off and she goes and grabs a shield that I can't remember. She said she made the shield.
Well, she makes it. Yeah, she makes it out of. She goes back to the lair and grabs like, I guess, dragon scales or dragon.
Yeah.
She finds more of that stuff that she had in the very beginning.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like kind of like the dragon scale. She was like weaving them together to make a shield, which is super cool because it's one of those like going back to all our D&D talk that we've kind of had. It's like, well, you can have like a steel or like an iron shield or, you know, like bronze or whatever. But if you have dragon scale, it's like, oh shit, like you basically have the top of the line.
It's just understood that, you know, dragon scale can deflect dragon fire
and steel, you know what I mean? And metal, and everything because so it really is kind of cool. Like, and it's kind of funny. They don't really play up. And they do, but they don't. Like, they don't make this big grand moment of like the blade and the shield. They almost kind of seem like especially like when she gives him the shield, it's kind of like, here's the shield that I made, you know. But like it's actually really important, but it's kind of played off as like, I don't know, like it's not like Excalibur or something, right? Where they kind of really play up the sequence to really like say like, now he's got the tools to do it. You know, it's like, it's sort of like these will help you, but we're still kind of leaning on your abilities and the things that you can bring to all of this to really like, you know, help defeat the dragon. But man, that weapon is, I mean, both the weapons honestly are really cool. And I really dig, you know, the look of that. And then,
so, quick side note. Yeah. So, do you during the time that they're working on that weapon, that scene where the priest takes a group of villagers to the dragon's lair to like kind of he's denouncing. He's saying that the dragon is the devil, and the village priest. I don't know if you remember that scene. He ends up getting. But yeah, did you recognize who that was? The priest?
No.
That was the actor who played Emperor Palpatine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man.
I'll know his name when I see it. Ian Mc. I'll chew this up.
Yeah.
McDiarmid.
Yeah.
McDiarmid.
Yeah.
That's a young Emperor Palpatine.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, he's the priest who gets
he gets his
roasted. Yeah, he gets roasted at the.
Oh man, I that kind of makes sense. I didn't look up the filming locations of this, but I would imagine they filmed this like in London. If I had to surprise, probably at like Pinewood Studios. That seemed to be like the place where they were doing a lot of these sorts of high fantasy films, you know, stuff like that. Partly because I think a lot of these actors, you know, they were kind of pulling from, you know, from that part of the world, and I think they could probably pull it off better than probably any of the Americans could at this point in the early 80s, because I think we were kind of, well, you know, we were kind of going to the canon era, you know, of film.
Yes.
But yeah. So yeah, like
wonderful time as well.
Yeah. So he goes now to, I guess, meet or to go up against the dragon now that the princess is being put up. But of course, like Tyrion shows up to meet Galen because he still doesn't buy into all this, and he's like, you're not gonna stop this like sacrifice from happening because we need it to happen so that things can kind of continue on, and you're going to screw this up, and you're just going to piss off the dragon is basically what he was kind of, I think, getting at. And he's like, if you're going to want to do this, then you're going to have to kill me, or you're going to have to go through me to not make this happen. And I didn't expect that, and honestly I kind of forgot about this scene. Like him, Gaelic and Tyrion like end up fighting before the dragon shows up. In kind of like a hand-to-hand combat kind of moment. And I was like, man, the timing of this is like,
I didn't remember that either.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because, you know, he's already got enough to deal with, and now he's going to have to try to fight this guy before all this kind of goes down. And then he shows, I guess, really how powerful this like blade is that he's gotten, because he ends up killing him, but he like stabs through like a tree or like a trunk.
Well, I think isn't it the post?
Oh, that's right.
It's the post where the princess was.
That's right.
Because when they're fighting, she wanders off into the lair.
Yeah, that's right.
They're left there fighting, and he ends up in you know, some kind of move. He ends up running the spear through the post and through his armor and kills him.
And it's just like, oh damn, like, and he does it like butter, like, you know, with that. So I guess it kind of is like a precursor, like, oh wow, it may actually work, right? If he can get this, if he can get this like spear close enough that it could kind of go down. So this next scene I thought was kind of interesting. And again, it's like, this is where I guess like the Guillermo del Toro like sort of kind of sequence, I think, kind of comes in, even though so as he goes down into the lair, like he comes across the two baby dragons, assuming then that this is a mama dragon, a big mama dragon, and the little dragons start like trying to, I mean, basically they're trying to eat Galen because they're feeding on on
the princess. It's on the princess.
Well, no, they're not feeding on her. There's like another corpse that's there. They're eating like the remains of like some guy or something that's down there. Because the princess, I think, keeps going. Because she's like in the bigger part of the lair. But there's like a corpse, I think, that they're like gnawing on, like leftovers. And Galen comes across them. And then they kind of like turn to him, and they're like, oh, well, like, you know, fresh food. So then they start trying to eat him, and he ends up killing the two like baby dragons. And like that whole sequence was kind of like intense because it's like they go out of their way to make sure that like the baby dragons kind of feel like puppies, or like
Yeah.
they're
cute.
you know, even though they don't mean harm, but they have to eat. So they're just kind of doing what they need to do, and he kills them both, you know. And then he makes his way to the bigger part of the lair, and he meets up with like the actual like mama dragon, I guess. Which again, like I can only imagine, like that's all real fire. That's like a real set, and man, it must have been like I could only begin to imagine like what they had to do to make sure that all this was safe and that this is stuff they could do, because like not only do the actors need to be safe, like the film crew, they're in a closed set. I mean, this is all real fire that and like the water that's underneath that, and I assume it's water, but it would get lit up with fire. So like there would be like parts of the water that would just sort of light up with fire, which is super cool. But also like, man, like that's all real, like that's all in camera. And then we get to see, I think this is the first time we see the dragons, like the head of the dragon in this sequence. And man, that dragon is rad. Like, I mean,
it's impressive.
I do know that like obviously the Game of Thrones dragon was pretty awesome, but I mean this thing is right up there. It's got to be right up there with one of like the cooler ones, which is also the first time we get to see the dragon like throw fire on Galen, and we get to see the shield in action. This whole sequence is just, man, it's so cool. Like it's everything you kind of want out of a dragon movie, because the dragon gets pissed that he can't burn him, so he starts shooting fire up like on the ceiling, and you see like the fire like hitting the ceiling of the like the dragon's just getting pissed, you know, like the dragon, like for not a CG dragon, like has a lot of like attitude and a lot of like scariness about it, like just the way that it's animated and like the way its head turns and the way it's kind of like looking and the eyes and everything. Like, I mean, you really like feel that, I don't know, I guess not scariness of the dragon, but like it's like beastly, like sort of like animalistic, like I don't know, like its aura or whatever you would kind of call it, because like it's a dragon. That's what it does. Like it shoots fire and eats. Like I guess it's kind of like a shark in that way. Like it just swims and eats, and you know, doesn't necessarily care what it's eating, just as long as it's meat. And this is kind of very similar in a lot of ways. So yeah, he you know, we see out the sequence, and he eventually is able to put the blade into the dragon, but it's not enough. And
the spear breaks at the handle.
Like the post, but not before the mama dragon comes across her dead babies. And like you feel really bad, but then also you realize like, man, like if he was worried, if Tyrion was worried that you were going to make the dragon pissed because you're stopping the ceremony, now you've made the dragon like super pissed. Like, you've not only canceled the ceremony, but you've also killed the babies. And so I think if I remember how the sequence plays out, I don't think, like, he basically escapes with his barely alive.
Barely.
And he's lost his weapon. The whole thing is just kind of not really playing out the way that he was kind of hoping. And he sort of returns back to the village, and he's like, we all need to run. Like, we need to we just need to get out of here because I kind of made things worse. Which kind of comes to the conclusion of the movie, which it's sort of the slow play of the movie, but it turns out that the amulet was actually like a whole setup for like Ulrich, the sorcerer.
Yeah.
He knew that the only thing that could kill a dragon is magic, but had to be like so much magic that it's like literally a person. Like it would take all his magic, Ulrich's magic,
Yeah.
to destroy the dragon, which again is kind of cool. Like when you really think about it in the big picture, it's like there is no spell,
Yeah.
there is no spear, there is no whatever. Like you literally have to use all the magic in a person to take out the dragon.
Yeah.
And so I guess his sacrifice, Ulrich's sacrifice in the beginning, was really him putting all his energy into like the amulet so that he could like Obi-Wan Kenobi ghost force himself back.
Yeah.
I don't know else how to describe that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Yeah. It's weird because I guess when the decision is made to just run away,
mm-hmm.
and when he has that moment where he has the vision in the water,
yeah,
he has the amulet gives him the vision of flames, right? So, and then he remembers that Hodge told him he wants his ashes scattered in a burning fire or burning water or something like that.
Right.
So then he kind of puts two and two together. He's like, oh wait, shit, I'm supposed to throw the ashes in the burning water. Like, he's like, oh, and then he remembers there was burning water in the lair. And he's like, oh, of course, that's the secret sauce. It was there the whole time.
Yeah. Well, and I think
so. Yeah,
this is like the very D&D moment, right, where the dungeon master has told you, like, kind of giving you subtle clues that you're supposed to do something with like certain aspects, and then like you said, he kind of comes to that realization at the end of like, oh shit, that's why I have this thing that I'm like.
That's why they have this pouch of ashes.
Exactly. I'm not going to tell you the exact reasoning for everything in the quest, but in doing so, like he basically realizes, oh yeah, like this is what I'm supposed to do. And so like in doing that, we see Ulrich come back, and he's wearing that cool outfit that he was buried in, which I really dig, because like I said, I don't know if it's like a pagan sort of thing, or like what exactly we're like, I don't know what we're supposed to kind of make of this, but it's cool because he kind of comes back. He has that green sort of glow to him, like similar to the fire. And it's just like a cool outfit because he tells like Ulrich's excited because he's like, oh, you're back. He's like, great. We can combine our forces and defeat the dragon. And he's like, yeah, that's not really why I'm back. And he just kind of gives them sort of this very like wisdom, like that, like when the time is right, you'll know what to do. And like, he's like
that. Yeah, you have the power. It's never been the amulet and blah, blah, blah. It's kind of like you said, the Schwartz thing. It's like, it's not the ring. It's you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's you have the power.
Yeah. And so, he kind of explains that whole thing to him. But like, I love this whole ending sequence because, again, there's like a lot of practical effects that are kind of done here. But I love like, I loved... even before he dies, but like Ulrich has like this, he has like what is one of the cooler staffs in like a movie when it comes to like wizards or sorcery or whatever. Because like, I don't know, it's got like carvings on it, and it's kind of like real. It looks like a really awesome like walking stick, but clearly there's like magic or something associated with it. So he goes and climbs up to like, again, I feel like somebody would have drawn like, he goes up to like the top of not the top of a mountain, but like the top of a clearing that has like a rock formation that's very like very specific.
Yeah.
And he goes up there to like wield his magic against the dragon. And just like the imagery of that is really cool, because he's got that cool like hat, and he's got the cool like robes and stuff that he has, and he's got, again, he has that very like wisdom look on him with the eyebrows and like everything about it. So it's like, man, this is like a level 50 like sorcery kind of guy that's about to go up against
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a dragon that has way more like HP than you could ever deal with. And you're going to need this guy to help you like sort of deal with this. And he talks about how like when the time comes, I need you to like destroy the amulet. Because like you were saying, you know, it's like, it's not, the power's not in the amulet. The power is in like you and your abilities and stuff like that, which is kind of funny because in the end, the power kind of was in the amulet. And so like they kind of have, I mean, I was thinking about this when I watched this last night of there are very few moments where we get to actually see wizards or sorcerers be badass in movies.
Yeah.
And you know, like I do think of like Lord of the Rings, like the first one when Gandalf and oh, what's his face, the other wizard, Sauron, Saruman,
yeah.
and Gandalf fight, and they have like a wizard fight, you know, like that's kind of cool, you know. And then I guess like in Harry Potter, you know, there's like Harry and Snape or I forget the main villain guy, the one whose name Voldemort. Like when they're like using their you know their magic and it's, you know, kind of fighting against each other, like that's kind of cool. But like I kind of forgot about this sequence where like he's using like lightning and like the weather and all this stuff to like fight the dragon.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Like it's just because he's doing it from the top of the mountain. So like every time he lifts his staff, you know, you feel that power like being shot off, and it's really, really cool. And this is only one of the very few sequences where it's like, man, if this was done in modern time, I could see this being kind of cool, like even cooler than what it was. I mean, it's still awesome. I think the concept is very awesome, but I think there was only so much they could probably do at that point, right? Of like, what else can we do? It's like, we can do lightning. Like that's easy enough. We can draw that, you know, but we can't do like, you know, stuff coming out of him or whatever, or like, I don't know, but like just in general, like that whole fight is really awesome. Up to the point where he basically like sacrifices himself. And, cause I feel like they really like kind of duke it out. And then the dragon eventually comes with this like big ass claw and just grabs him. And I mean, I think all of us were like, that's the time. Like that's when you want to destroy the amulet.
Clearly.
Yeah. And it turns out like he's basically like a nuke, you know, like he's destroy the amulet. And it's the only thing that's going to destroy this. Because it's like he basically like self nukes the dragon. Well, he is like the bomb that ends up killing the dragon. Which again is pretty awesome. I mean, you have to say, it's like when you see him falling out of the sky and there's that big smoke like plume coming out from behind him and he hits the water. It's just like, man, that is some classic like D&D shit right there. The whole like last act of this movie is like really, really good. And I don't know, like I feel like, you know, as we kind of get to the end of this movie, it's like, I don't want to call this one also a forgotten classic, but this one's not as easy to find streaming. Like it was on Pluto, but
that's where I watched it.
Like I want to say this is not on Disney Plus, because they would have shown up in some of my searches of like where you can find this movie. But I didn't see it on Disney Plus, even though like it is a Disney movie. I don't know if they like parted ways with some of the more harder stuff, but I just don't hear enough people talking about like 1981's Dragonslayer. But yeah, there's so many good things about this movie. I mean, I know we talked about, you know, some of the highlights and like a bulk of the movie there, but this is like a high recommend for anybody who like gets on like a kick for this kind of stuff. Oh, I guess the only last thing I guess to kind of add, which I don't know, is kind of a Disney thing, but also like, I don't know, was also kind of a little upsetting, is like at the very end, like after the dragon dies, the king shows up, and right as the villagers are showing up,
Yeah.
and the king, like,
that's
in classic government politician way, is like, I did all this, like, it was thanks to me, and he takes like the ceremonial sword and like stabs the dragon that's clearly dead.
Yeah. It's like he just puts it in the carcass, and he's like, so he can officially, I guess, have it in the books that he was the king that killed the dragon.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, okay, like, and Galen and Valerian kind of leave with this like bumpy, like kind of quirky music where it's just like, well, I guess like we did the right thing, even though like, the king and all the shitty people kind of like, they'll continue on even though they won't have like sacrifices to give up anymore or whatever. I mean, I guess the hope is like, oh, well, maybe the people will turn on the king at some point or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just, the way it kind of ended, I was like, oh man, it kind of sucks. Like, I kind of wanted to see, if that was the case, I wanted to see the king get like syphilis or something. I don't know. Like, I just want to see the king, like, not,
get his comeuppance, as you say.
Yeah. Just
not in this one.
No, yeah, that would have been nice, but yeah, that doesn't really happen in this one. But yeah, man, this one was, oh man, and just like the logo at the end and everything, like, just wraps up really well,
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have it here, and I was looking to see if there was a listing in the Psychotronic video guide, but there is no listing for Dragonslayer. But I do have.
Oh, interesting.
I do have this on Laserdisc, and I'll have to show you what that looks like. But the Laserdisc cover for this, a Japanese Laserdisc is what I have.
Really now?
The art is like really cool. Like, it's way cooler. I mean, I think the poster for this movie is cool, but it is definitely cooler on the Japanese version. When I saw that, I was like, okay, I have to have that because that is an awesome cover. And I'd like to put that up somewhere. But that brings us to the point, where we have to ask ourselves, is this a top shelf video movie? And you can go first on this one because I'm pretty sure I went first last time.
Yeah, you did. I'm going to say that it is top shelf worthy. I think just because I was impressed with, I guess, reminded of how in awe I was of like the dragon and it's your typical, dark fantasy story,
Yeah.
I think it's earned a special place on the top shelf.
Yeah.
Not select,
Yeah.
but top shelf. Yes. I'll give it a top shelf nomination.
Yeah.
When it comes to the dragons. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes it's kind of like, well, are we ever going to disagree on this show? And I don't know when we will come across that, but it's definitely not like
it'll happen eventually.
It'll happen eventually, but it's not going to happen with this one because I watched this one twice in the past couple days, and the fact that I went back and like a couple scenes, I was just like, oh man, I got to watch that again. Just certain sequences. I mean, yeah, I really feel like this movie should be a top shelf movie. I would say though that like if somebody was interested in this one, and they have kids and they wanted to watch it, I'd be like, this is a movie that you want to watch with your kids. Like, don't let the VCR just be the babysitter for the night. Like, you really should sit and watch this one with your kids because it's funny how like, and I this is the only thing I wanted to circle back around on is like, there's a lot of layers of like seriousness in this movie, right? Which is like people are getting killed, people are being sacrificed, only virgins are being sacrificed. Like, the politics of like, the king getting people out of being part of the lottery through bribery. I mean, there's a lot of like topics that are like they're very adult themed, but they're not like so adult themed that it's like it's bad or it would upset a child or whatever. Like I feel like they're just there has to be a level of explanation. I feel like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
just in the sense of
see that.
like, well, why did they kill the baby dragons and stuff like that. Where it's like, well, you could. I mean, because like, not being a father of children, like I don't have the same sort of reactions that people have when they see like children in peril in movies. But being a pet owner and having, we're like we do a lot of rescues and stuff like that here. Like seeing dragons get killed was kind of like, oh man, like that kind of cut a little deep. But at the same time, I was like, I get it. Like I guess because those dragons are going to grow to continue to kill villagers that really are not doing anything wrong. It's like it'd be great if they could live together, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Stuff like that I feel like is the stuff that you would have to sort of explain to your kids or whatnot. But I feel like stakes, like high stakes and real like ramifications, like I don't see anything wrong with that, for a young person to kind of like watch and kind of go through. Like it was very a lot of times this movie reminded me of a lot of the Don Bluth movies, like The Secret of Nim and movies like that, where it's like terrible stuff was happening to these like animated creatures, but like it's a serious topic, but at the same time, like it leads to good story and it leads to good, action and adventure and all these things. And it didn't feel very like surface level, it had enough layers deep enough where like it really helped the story instead of some sort of like, well, why don't we just leave the dragon be? Or like, why didn't the villagers just move away or whatever? Right. Like the fact that there were sacrifices and the king was like basically corrupt, like all those things kind of play into everything, or even the sacrifice of like Ulrich, for the greater good in the end. Like all those layers like are actually like really good, for a movie of this time period, and like, whereas like, we talked about Kroll and we talked about Beastmaster, and I feel like those were definitely fun and they were definitely more light in the sense of like story. And this one, even though it doesn't have like a super, super deep story, it just has enough, and I really, really like and appreciate that, and so like, I feel like this is a movie that, I can find myself like watching this a little bit more often now that I've kind of like pulled it off and dusted it off, because there are plenty of times like in the winter when things get cold and I'll throw on, like Lord of the Rings or whatever. Like I can see myself throwing this on, just alongside some of those as a nice companion follow up, because I mean, I hate to say it, but it's better than like the Hobbit movies and like what was the way they did have the dragon one with, Smog, I think, or whatever, like, and that's like revolves around a dragon, and it's like that movie's not nearly as good as this one. Like this one's way better than like that movie, with no disrespect to like Peter Jackson, but like that movie just wasn't that great. So okay, I mean, I 100% agree this should be a top shelf video. I will say, you say you saw it on Pluto TV, right? So you saw the streaming version, which I want to say that was probably the 4K. I mean, it looked really good. I think this is a movie that should be seen in a very like higher end format and not necessarily like a lower end format, mostly just because the visuals look really good, and this was shot on film, and like the 4K resolution on this is like really nice. And I think you don't lose anything other than you do see a lot of I guess in the VHS version or the versions that were less detailed, you definitely see a lot less booby and man junk. in those versions, because I think it was a lot blurrier and TVs weren't as like high resolution, but you definitely see it in the updated version. But yeah, I'd probably say like I'd be totally fine if we just had this like on Blu-ray or like a 4K or something. Like I don't know if we really need downgraded versions of this, you know.
Right.
I don't know if that really adds a whole lot. I think it does for movies like Beastmaster and Kroll, but not so much here. Like I think the craftsmanship in this really needs to be like appreciated in a high resolution. So
Okay.
if you're cool with that.
Well, I mean, when it comes to like, I guess the formats and stuff, I mean, I kind of lean on your expertise with that, just because you definitely are the leader of, you have more, you know, VHS, 4K, Blu-ray, you know, you laser disc. I mean, you have more, you've been around that more to like know the nuances of each format. And so, I mean, I will kind of, you know, bow to your recommendations when it comes to that inventory part of the shop. You know, I'm more of I prefer to, I'll put more in my 2 cents more into like the marketing and the,
Yeah. No, that's fair.
The things to think, you know, items, you know, we can put in inventory.
Sure. No. Totally fair.
But yeah, I'm all for, you know, 4K stuff. I didn't get to see, thankfully, I didn't see any man junk in my version, so I'll just take your word for it that it was there in all of its.
It was there.
You know, Pete's Dragon Glory. So, but yeah, no, that's fine. 4K, 4K sounds good.
Okay. Well then,
I'm good with that.
What as far as like items for the store, is there anything that came to mind? I mean, I think there's
just a replica amulet.
Yeah.
Just if we're gonna have like a little one of those revolving kind of like with jewelry kind of things, you know.
Yeah.
The amulet's probably the best thing.
Yeah,
the easiest thing I could think of.
I was thinking about that too last night. I was like, I wonder how we can jazz it up a little bit. And I think this would be possible, but so I feel like we could have an amulet, but I feel like the amulet can have like I'm sure we can probably figure a way to program like some sort of small like Raspberry Pi or something to control like a light inside of the amulets, and it would be timed to however long it takes to make popcorn. So like I think microwaves are usually like 1:45, and so like your little amulet is timed.
Depends on the size of the bag, but yeah.
I would say like it's kind of timed to roughly 1.5 minutes, where it just kind of starts to glow over time. And then when it gets to like full
ready.
bright, when it gets to full bright, your popcorn should be ready. And unless you have like an actual like popper, or whatever. But we should set it for something like that, where it's like your hot beverage or your whatever, right? Like maybe you can set it for like 2 minutes, or like maybe it'll have like a little button where it's like it'll go from like nothing to full bright in like 30 seconds or a minute and a half or 2 minutes, something like that. So it's almost like a digital like timer for yourself, right? Where it's like, like if it goes off, you're like, oh man, I've been waiting on whatever for the past like 5 minutes. I was thinking that too. I think much like I'm going to steal from what we had on Kroll, because like I think in Kroll I had mentioned that I liked the Cyclops' spear, because it kind of looked like a two-pronged
like
kind
of trident.
Like a trident, or no, that's right, it was like a three-pronged, but it was kind of shaped in a way that almost looked kind of like a fork. And I was like, I want a miniaturized version, because I want to use that to like use it as a spear to get like pickles
for like appetizers.
Appetizers. I could totally see the same thing with like this spear, maybe a little bit bigger for like hot dogs or something, like you spear the hot dog,
right?
Or something you can put on the grill so that you can kind of like turn it over the grill kind of thing.
Oh, there you go. Like a Dragonslayer branded like grilling tools.
Oh yeah. I could see that.
Like a spatula, and then the tongs, and then it'll have one special one that looks like the spear.
Yep. Or here's another thing we could kind of do. You could make. I guess you'd probably have to make this out of steel, but you can make it. I guess. Well, you would know this because you can if you work around this kind of equipment like on a CNC like sort of machine, we could almost make like a base like sort of metal platform with like a post in the middle where like they would sacrifice like the virgin, but then you put your chicken like if you wanted to smoke a chicken, you kind of put it on the top, down, and then you sort of like put it in there, and then the flames and the heat will kind of that'll be the sacrifice chicken, hopefully in its jerk rub or whatever flavors or Memphis style, sort of like sort of set up there, and then that way because you could put like cool little carvings like in the post, even though the post would probably be made out of metal, but like that way that holds the chicken, but maybe you can have like two little like attachments like for the arms or something like the kind of
put the legs,
it'd
be like it would be like the wrist, the chains,
the you could do that. Oh, what else? I mean honestly I really liked some of the stuff in there, like the hat that Auric had. I mean it's a goofy looking hat, but it's still kind of cool. Like there was something kind of
sorcerer's hat.
It was like the traveling one, not the burial one or the one that he kind of comes up with. But
the one that he had looked kind of like a coiled snake kind
that
of
one.
thing.
And I
could see that.
Yeah, and I definitely feel like the his staff was like a very cool looking staff. Like I don't know if we would just have a full size replica staff, but I mean if I had a cool walking stick like that, I'd use it all the time. Like I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean I feel like maybe we can do something with that, or maybe it holds like, because it kind of like it kind of gets a little bit like almost like a baseball bat, like it gets fatter near the top, and it didn't get real thin at the bottom, but you can tell like as it gets near the top it kind of has like a more of a like almost like a baseball shape or a baseball bat kind of shape like on the top of it.
Like it's just a little thicker on the top.
So I think like if it's like that, maybe there can be like a little opening in there where you can put like a canned soda or something, but it's insulated so that it stays cool up there, and you can just kind of like maybe you put it in like at the very top, you just kind of drop it in from the top, or there's like a little side hatch or something, you just kind of put it in there, but like that way you can have like if you're out on a walk and it's like you guys, like you were saying, you're having to work early hours now because of the heat, if you're out in this Texas summer, you can have like a cold beer or a cold soda or something, like a Dr. Pepper or something in the thing. But I don't know, I think
I don't got much else. I mean it was I mean I don't think plush dragons would be I think more about this would be more of the I lean more towards the jewelry, the clothing, like the fall fantasy collection from Top Shelf Video. Some cloaks and some walking sticks and the sorcerer's hats.
The only other thing I can
all your cosplay needs would be at our video store.
The only thing I can think of that would maybe be kind of cool is like if we did have a like a lighter that I don't know if it would look like the dragon, but like a butane based like sort of lighter, right? That has kind of more of the flame, like right, like a like like it's kind of got that straight flame, even though it didn't feel real dragon like, but I don't know, maybe there's something there. Probably have to like that one probably has to cook a little bit, but there might be something there. So but no, this one I think this one kind of wraps up our summer of D&D or
of wizards
and magic, and I mean these were a lot of fun, all three of them that we talked about. I feel like is a very summer-esque sort of period, And I don't know. I really liked watching these three, and I feel like they feel like very summer movies. They feel like stuff that we would have watched, in the hot, summer heat of like being at Theo Eddie's house, where it's like we usually have the windows open, so you kind of feel that hot air like passing through the house until into the evening, when we put on the air conditioning. But even then, we didn't always have it on. So there's something about like these movies and just that, like I don't know, the heat of the summer that just kind of, I don't know. It all kind of works.
Yeah, it reminds me of that time. Yeah. I remember.
I mean, I miss it, but also, I like my air condition, that my central air that we have now. I'm not gonna,
I definitely appreciate the advances in HVAC.
Yeah, absolutely.
No complaints. Yep. Yeah.
Well, I guess if anybody has any like thoughts on I guess like really Dragonslayer or any of the three movies that we watched that were all like sort of our D&D summer, shoot us an email. We'd love to hear from folks. It's topshelfvideopodcast@gmail.com. You can email us there. You can leave a comment or any feedback on any of the platforms where you can find us on Spotify or Apple, YouTube. I know you had mentioned some people left some comments on YouTube. Or just shoot us a message, on Instagram. We're Top Shelf Video TX, I believe is what we are there. We're on Blue Sky. Top Shelf Video, topshelfvideo.com is our website where you can find us, and links to all the episodes and episodes. You can also like email us through there. You can read a little bit about us. We have our little profiles on there. A backlog of all the episodes are there. And I think this was a lot of fun kind of revisiting these, but time to start getting the shop ready for like the fall. I feel like, which is my favorite time of the year. I know I start Halloween what's today, August 21st, about August 21st. Halloween's gonna start kicking in, so if we start leaning a lot more into the horror, don't be surprised.
Yeah.
But
you'll know which co-owner is responsible.
Yeah. But
which I'm here for it though.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
There'll be another planned trip up to your area once the video crypt is up and running again. We'll make another visit, maybe another on location podcast, perhaps. Maybe.
Yeah. I think we can definitely work in
chat with your boy.
We can definitely work in an episode up there. But yeah, this one's good. This year's gonna be fun. There's gonna be a lot of more cool stuff that we've been able to get our hands on. Some promo materials, new posters, and we have one thing that we just finished up, or I would say like is finished up as of today, and will be in the store when we open up in late September, early October, which I'm super excited about. But you'll have to come down to see it in order to really appreciate it. But I guess it's time to go ahead and get ready for the last part of today's work shift. And, we're going to get our evening rush, and then got to get ready for the weekend. And then, like I said, we got to start shuffling some of the inventory around. Kind of want to move some of that horror stuff up to the front, start rotating some of the stuff there. But yeah, we'll start talking about what we're going to be looking at here in the next upcoming episodes. But if you want to go ahead and take the register, I will go ahead and just kind of do a little sweeping there up in the front, and we will catch everybody at the next work shift.
All right then.
All right.
See ya.
See ya.